Alright, hello guys and welcome to your weekly forecast from November 10th until November 17th. We're going to go over your precipitation forecast, temperature forecast, and your special notes segment of the video. Now before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather related content, and also make sure to share this with your friends on social media, friends and family that is, on Facebook and other social medias. Now let's get right into things. We're going to go over our little our forecast from last week and then comparing it to what actually happened. So take a good look, try to picture this in your brain and memorize it. And this is what actually happened. Let me know what you thought about this outlook. Let me know, just let me know your thoughts on how this did for your area, or just on how accurate that map looks in your opinion. Now, let's get into this week's precipitation forecast. We're starting things off. I'm just going to, right off the bat, let you guys know this week looks really dry overall for basically the entire United States, with the exception of a few areas, which I'm going to go over that in just a second. But you can see the two main dry areas is along the west coast there and some of the Rockies, as well as most of the eastern half of the United States. So let's add that second layer of brown there, and that's going to be for the Pacific Northwest and then also Northern California. And there's even a third shade of brown here, which is going to be for areas right along the immediate coast of Oregon and some of those mountainous regions of Washington, as well as some of those very, very far northwest coasts in California. Now let's get right into the segment where we're going to talk about those 4 above average precipitation regions in the United States where we could see some snowstorms in some of those. As you can see here, there is 4 different locations where I'm expecting to get slightly above average precipitation. One there for the very interior regions of the northeastern United States, and that's where we're expecting to see a snowstorm in the earlier portion of this week. I've made several videos about this, so you can check those out on the channel. We also have above average precipitation for Texas and the southeast coast there. Obviously, those regions are not expecting to see any snowfall anytime soon. And then also, we have some slightly above average precipitation for another area that could see snowfall during this week for Montana, South Dakota, Wyoming, and a little bit of Nebraska there. So those are some of the areas that we're expecting above average precipitation. Again, for the most part, this week is looking rather dry in general. Actually, one of the driest entire weeks I've seen since I've started doing these weekly forecasts. So 4 different above average regions. That is so weird. All right, let's get right into that temperature forecast. And right off the bat, before I get started with this segment, I want to let you guys know that I'm expecting multiple cold temperature records to be broken this week in the eastern United States and some portions in the Midwest. There will be multiple records for multiple counties being broken throughout the week. Specifically, the 14th looks to be the coldest date during this week. So let's get right into this exciting temperature forecast. We're going to start out with the areas that are above average temperatures here. So you can see along the west coast there, basically to the west of the Rockies, we're expecting to receive above average temperatures for the most part. So this is not good news whatsoever for California and also areas in Washington, Oregon, Nevada, 4 corner states, as well as the northern Rockies are again expecting some warmer than normal temperatures. Now we do have an even second shade of orange here for California, Nevada, and some of those surrounding states alike. Again, just more and more bad news for California. It seems like a lot of bad weather things are just stacking together right over top of California. And we don't see an end in sight. It's really, really bad news for you guys out there. So all of the United States, we have our eyes on what's going on in California, and we have you in our thoughts and prayers as always. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on that situation with all the wildfires, and hopefully things start heading in a much better direction soon. All right, now let's get started with the below average temperatures, and you can see this takes up a giant area of the United States. From Montana down through into Texas and everywhere to the east of there, we're seeing at least slightly below average temperatures. Again, I'm expecting multiple records to be broken this week. And, that's a pretty broad, loose term because there's a ton of counties in that eastern 2/3 of the United States. And it's pretty fair to say that, we typically expect every once in a while to break some records. But I think that we will see an extreme amount of records broken for this specific date along the eastern United States. Specifically, some of those regions in the deep south as well. I've seen reports that they are expecting to break some records. Okay, so let's add our second shade of blue here. You can see from areas from Minnesota through Texas to the east, with the exception of Florida, this is where we're expecting at least moderately below average temperatures and even further below. So this is the area where you're going to feel it more, okay? So in this area, you're going to probably feel like, oh, this week was really, really cold. And again, there's going to be more specifically cold dates within that, and then some dates might not be quite as cold, but yeah, the 14th is a day I've been keeping my eye on that looks specifically cold compared to the rest. And now we even have a third shade of blue here, and this is where I can expect to see some temperature records be broken. You know, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri. These areas, it should be quite easy to break records here with the current setup that we have going on. So I expect to break some records within those regions. But nevertheless, all of these dark blue regions are expecting to be far below average temperatures, and it's going to be extremely noticeable that you had a rather cold week. And again, there's going to be more specifically cold dates within that, and maybe some days that aren't quite as cold, but for the most part, I expect it to be very consistently cold within this, especially this dark blue region. Yeah, so this temperature pattern looking very interesting, and it looks like we don't really see an end in sight for this trough in the east, ridge in the west type pattern. I'm seeing, indications that this could continue through to the end of November, and that would correlate quite nicely with my November forecast. If you saw that before, I was forecasting colder temperatures in a lot of these regions that we're now forecasting on the weekly forecast to see below average temperatures. So that forecast is verifying very, very nicely. I'm very, very proud of that one. Probably going to go down as one of my better monthly forecasts. Now, we're going to get into the very, very exciting special notes segment of the video, which is kind of a trademark here. I haven't seen that done anywhere else, and it's one of the original things that Direct Weather has come up with. Now, our first special note of 2 is going to be the record cold along the eastern United States here from the 10th through the 17th. But again, there is more specific dates like the 14th that I'm eyeing or keeping an eye on that I think would be a little bit more of a higher risk date for some of those records to be broken rather than other days. Like, for instance, here in Southeast Virginia, it's 34 degrees right now, which is unseasonably cold. It's very unseasonably cold. Not quite sure what the record is, but the record is much further than that, much further below average than that. But yeah, so we are already seeing very, very cold temperatures in the eastern United States. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at, and it only looks to continue throughout the week. All right, now our second special note is going to be a winter storm that's going to be going on from the 10th through the 13th here. It's going to start out as a clipper system, make its way into the Midwest as well as some of those central regions of the United States. It is going to impact the Great Lakes regions and then eventually even the northeastern United States, but more specifically the interior northeastern United States. And that looks to be the bullseye region with this storm where we could see the heaviest amounts of accumulations within this system. And I expect it to be a quite exciting one. We've already made 2 updates on this storm, and I expect to make many, many more. So again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you do live within this blue region, you can continue to track this next winter storm with us on the channel and keep up to date with the latest information on what's happening with this storm. Right now, as we speak, it's heading into Montana and Wyoming, and it's going to very, very quickly make its way eastward. And by time we're at the 12th, which I believe will be Tuesday, that's when we're going to be talking about some of that snow making its way into the northeastern United States and some of those Great Lakes regions. Probably, I would say, Monday into Monday night, so tomorrow. As I'm making this video, I think that's when I'm expecting the snow to start moving into the Great Lakes and the New England states of the United States, and that's again where it's really going to try to intensify. That intensity seems a little bit uncertain though as we're watching the models, so we're going to really need to keep a close eye on this one and really keep updating you guys and keeping you guys up to date, because these storms so far this season have been especially random, and I guess they are changing a lot, and the models don't really have a good hold on them, and some years it is that way, and some years they have a better hold than others. This year it seems like they have no idea what's going on. Maybe it's just a November thing, but we're preparing for that to potentially be a all year type situation, in which case I'm going to have to use a lot more of my historical knowledge rather than what the models are showing, which is already a good foundation to have. But sometimes you can rely on those models a little bit more than other times, and this time they're not pulling through right now. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. Stay tuned for those updates because we are going to be bringing multiple updates for that storm. And it's going to be very, very fun to track with you guys. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to share this with your friends and family on Facebook as always. I'll see you guys in the next video.